Today we're going to talk about deleted content, when we can recover it and when we cannot recover it. Let's start off thinking about your laptop. And let's say that you have a file called mydocument.doc. It's a 20 megabyte file. It's time to send that to the recycle bin. When you do that, the only thing that really changes to that file is the reference to that file in what's called the file system. The file system on your computer tracks all the files that's stored on the hard drive. You can still access it and you can still recover that file from the recycle bin. You're very used to that. What happens next is that you empty that recycle bin. When you do that, the reference to that file in the file system now says this file is deleted. Don't display it any longer. And the area where it resides on the hard drive is now available to be written to by other files. You can't access it at this point as a regular user, but we can use forensics tools to extract that file from your hard drive because it still exists. It hasn't really changed. It hasn't actually moved. Nothing's happened to that file. At this point, it's still fully recoverable. The next stage is when the file becomes partially recoverable or not recoverable at all. At this point, let's say that again, that was a 20 megabyte file. Let's say it's time to write another file, say a 10 megabyte file, and the file system says, yes, hey, this area is available now where this old file resides. And it's going to write that 10 megabyte file to the same place where the old file used to reside, and it's going to overwrite half of it. Remember, we have a 20 megabyte file, now it's a 10 megabyte file. What we can recover at this point is the last 10 megabytes of that first file. We call those file fragments. They're not a full file, they're a portion of the old file. Sometimes it's usable content, sometimes it's not. In the case of a pure text file, it's very usable information. The other thing that we can still recover from that file is the metadata or information about that file from the file system. It still exists in the file system. Remember, it just says that it was deleted and the file space is available to be written to. So we can still find the file name, file size, things like that, but we're not going to get the original content. The next stage of the deletion cycle is when another file is overwritten to the old file and it's the same size or larger. So when you overwrite it with the same size file, the entire content of the original file is now gone. We cannot recover it from that file, at least from that file space. Maybe there's some other temporary files available, but essentially it's gone. What we get now is the reference to it to the old file in the file system. And that's about it. No file fragments at all. This is very similar to what happens with wiping. With wiping is the intentional overwriting and directed overwriting of that file space where a file resides. It doesn't create a new file. It just overwrites it with content, and it will often obfuscate the information that's stored in the file system, maybe try to modify the file name, something like that. It's hard to make it look like you can't, like there was nothing there before. At a forensics level, we can often see wiped files, wiped information. Think of this brick wall behind me. If each of those bricks represents a file, and you were to push one of those bricks out, I don't know what color brick it was. I don't know what kind of markings were on it, but I do know that there was something brick shaped, and I know exactly where it was at. Wiping kind of works like that. When you look at a disk at a forensic level, wiping kind of stands out, either a lot of zeros or Fs or some random data that wouldn't normally be in that space. We can go through back to the file system and find that space on the drive, find that reference to that space on the drive in the file system and say, yeah, there used to be a file there. That might lead us down the path to look up and do some investigation to see if there was any wiping tools downloaded and installed or researched on this computer. Thank you very much.